Hello. Hello, Hime. Hello, guys. Today, we're gonna be telling spooky stories around the campfire. Hello, Hellme. So, everybody, grab your marshmallows, grab a blanket, and let Hellme tell you some of the spooky stories. Arigato.
Pussy pretty, pussy fat full of fresh.
Oh Christ, who are we murdering this time?
Not murdering anyone. Don't worry about it. We're not. No murder. No murder. No murder today. No murder. Yeah, donuts are still on. Marshmallows, blanket. Oh my god. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Ahu and the ghost, she is cute. I know, right? This is a placeholder until I can make him a Halloween costume. But let's tell some of my favorite stories from sites like Sixpence, No Sleep. Is the audio okay? Do you hear the ambient fire sounds? Spooky. Yeah, yes, good? Okay. So, let's start off with a classic. The Smiling Man. About 5 years ago, I lived downtown in a major city in the US. I've always been a night person, so I would often find myself bored after my roommate, who was decidedly not a night person, went to sleep. To pass the time, I used to go for long walks and spend the time thinking. I spent 4 years like that, walking alone at night, and never once had a reason to feel afraid. I always used to joke with my roommate that even the drug dealers in the city were polite. But all of that changed in just a few minutes of one evening. It was a Wednesday, somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, and I was walking near a police patrol park quite a ways from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic and almost no one on foot. The park, as it was most nights, was completely empty. I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment when I first noticed him. At the far end of the street, on my side, was the silhouette of a man dancing. It was a strange dance, similar to a waltz, but he finished each box with an odd forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking, headed straight for me. Deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the sidewalk to pass me by. The closer he got, the more I realized how gracefully he was moving. He was very tall and lanky and wearing an old suit. He danced closer still, until I could make out his face. Why does it keep rolling that way?
Pussy pretty, pussy fat full of fresh.
Oh, so we're gonna have spooky stories. Neat. Thanks for wishing me good luck at work class stream BTW.
You're welcome.
Really helped a lot with my shift tonight.
I hope your shift tonight goes well too. And the night after that. And the night after that. Anyways. He was very tall and lanky and wearing an old suit. He danced closer still, until I could make out his face. His eyes were open wide and wild, head tilted back slightly, looking off at the sky. His mouth was formed in a painfully wide cartoon of a smile. Between the eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer. I took my eyes off of him to cross the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back. then stopped dead in my tracks. He had stopped dancing and was standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He was facing me but still looking skyward. Smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. I started walking again, but kept my eyes on the man. He didn't move. Once I had put about half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment to watch the sidewalk in front of me. The street and sidewalk ahead of me were completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to where he had been standing to find him gone. For the briefest of moments, I felt relieved, until I noticed him. He had crossed the street and was now slightly crouched down. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance and the shadows, but I was certain he was facing me. I had looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it was clear that he had moved fast. I was so shocked that I stood there for some time just staring at him. Then he started moving towards me again. He took giant, exaggerated tiptoed steps, as if he was a cartoon character sneaking up on someone, except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say at this point I ran away or pulled out my pepper spray or my cell phone or anything at all, but I didn't. I just stood there, completely frozen as this smiling man crept so fast towards me. And then he stopped again, about a car's length away from me. Still smiling his smile, still looking to the sky. When I finally found my voice, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What the fuck do you want?" In an angry, commanding tone. What came out was a whimper. What the fuck? Regardless of whether humans can smell fear or not, they can certainly hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. But he didn't react to it at all. He just stood there, smiling. And then, after what felt like forever, he turned around, very slowly, and started dance walking away. Just like that. Not wanting to turn my back to him, I just watched him go until he was far enough away to be almost out of sight. And then I realized something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the distant shape of him grew larger and larger. He was coming back my way, and this time he was running. I ran until I was off the side of the road and back onto a better lit road with sparse traffic. Looking behind me then, he was nowhere to be found. And the rest of the way home, I just kept glancing over my shoulder, always expecting to see his stupid smile, but he was never there. I lived in that city for 6 months after that night, and I never went out for another walk. There was something about his face that always haunted me. He didn't look drunk, he didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane. And that's a very, very, very scary thing to see. Don't worry, I'm not gonna jump scare you guys. The only way you guys are getting jump scared are by my alerts. I'm just here to tell spooky stories, okay? I'm just here to tell spooky stories. An oldie but a goodie, oh yeah. Here's a recent one that I found on TikTok that I quite enjoy. Wait, I'm gonna get my blanket as well. Missed the jump scare. Spoopy. Spoopy, spoopy, spoopy. Hime loves us. She wants jump scare. Exactly. No, Only the alerts are gonna jump scare you, okay? I'm just here to tell stories.
One alert jump scare coming up.
Alright. Next up, my sugar daddy asked me for weird favors. Okay. His Tinder profile said he was 45, but he looked to be in his early 30s at most. Looking for a sugar baby. 700 weekly. No sex. It sounded too good to be true, but as a broke university student, I was willing to take my chances. I swiped right and Tinder let me know it was a match. This message came seconds later. Hey there, sweetheart. I cringe at that word. I hated it, but $700 is $700, so I sucked it up and replied. Hey. His name was Jack, and he told me he owned his business, although he never specified what kind of business it was. We talked for a while before he asked me for my Venmo to send me the first payment. After a few minutes, I got a notification. I stared at the 700 for at least 20 minutes, expecting to wake up from a dream at any second. But it wasn't a dream. Still there? I clicked on the message. Yeah, sorry. If you don't mind me asking, what are you looking for in return? I stared at the chat until he replied. I'm just looking for you to do a few favors for me. Smiley face. That sounded like it was gonna be sexual to me. Like what? I replied. For example, the first thing I need you to do is pick up a delivery for me. That sounded innocent enough, but I was still expecting there to be some kind of twist. I mean, $700 to pick up a package? Come on, even I wasn't that naive. From the post office or something? No. I'll send you your address, but I'd rather not do this through Tinder. You got Kick? Or you can give me your number. Kick? What was this, 2011? I decided to give him my number instead, and he texted me the address immediately. Followed by the address to his house where I would have to drop off the package. I'm not home right now, but there's a key on a bombed blue flower pot near the door. Go inside and put the package on the coffee table in the living room. Make sure that you lock the door when you go inside the house and then lock it again when you leave. I grabbed my car keys and wallet and got into my car, putting the address into Google Maps. Got it! On my way. My phone buzzed as I backed out of my driveway. I'm serious. Lock the door both times. Please. I thought that was a little excessive, but I promised him that I would. The house looked abandoned. It had a broken chain link fence around it with a small door that was hanging on for dear life. It stuck out like a sore thumb, surrounded by houses that were a lot nicer than this one in comparison. You here for jack shit? I looked up to see a man standing in the open doorway of the house. He took up almost the entire space, his head skimming the top of the doorframe. He was huge, in height and muscles, and his entire torso was covered in tattoos. Yeah, I guess. I replied, not moving from my spot on the sidewalk. Stay right there, he said. I did. I actually don't think I would have moved even if he had asked me to. I looked around and I realized there was no one else on the street. I was a 21-year-old woman alone in the street. I gripped my car keys. A few minutes later, the man came out carrying a cardboard box. It was about the size of a shoebox, but stained and damp on some of the corners. You open your car? He asked. I opened the trunk, not wanting that on my car seats, and he sat in. Alright, there you go. Thanks. I walked out to the driver's side of the car and opened the door. Oh, and one more thing, he said. I looked at him. Watch out. I didn't reply. I blasted my music as I drove to Jack's house, hoping it would drown out my anxiety. It didn't. I parked my car in the stone driveway and stayed inside the car, just admiring the house. It was a huge house with stone pillars on the front porch and the greenest grass I had ever seen in my life. I turned the car off and got out. I grabbed the package and walked to the front door, getting the key from where he said it would be. I opened the door and stepped in, closing it behind me. I thought about what he'd said about locking the door when I got inside, and while I still thought it was a bit overboard, As I stared at the closed door, something made me reach out and lock it. I walked inside, my feet cushioned by the thick maroon carpet, and admired the inside of the house. All the furniture was wooden and looked incredibly expensive. I would probably have to finish school 12 times with the money that it took to furnish this place. I set down the package on the coffee table, and as I walked back to the door, I heard a phone ringing from somewhere inside the house. I froze. In my pocket, my phone buzzed. I took it out to look. Don't answer any calls that aren't from Marvin. I put my phone back and followed the sound of the phone, poking my head into a few different rooms before I found it in an office. I walked over to the desk and looked at the caller ID. Incoming call from Jack. That was odd. That's the name of my sugar daddy. I grabbed my phone to look at the message again. I was starting to get a bit creeped out and decided I wouldn't answer just to be safe, and left the house, just remembering to lock the door as I left. I've done a few more favors for Jack since then. I drove a BMW to a random park in another city, only to get out and drive a different car back to Jack's house. He had me meet one of his quote-unquote employees at lunch, who then gave me a briefcase to deliver to the first house I'd gone to, and told me he would know if I looked inside. On several occasions, he asked me to drive down to the same house and stay with the guy, whose name was Julio, for a certain amount of time. In total, I've made around 3.5k, sheesh. Made around 3.5k. Most recently, Jack asked me to stay in his house overnight. I woke up to a text message from him. I need you to spend the night at my house. I hadn't ever seen him in person, but I had talked to him on the phone a few times. He proceeded to tell me that he would pay me $1,000 to spend the night at his house, provided that I followed a few rules. I drove to his house that evening. The driveway was empty, and it normally was, but the porch light was on. I walked up, unlocked the door, went inside, and then locked it again. Everything in the house still looked the same, and Jack had told me over the phone that he would leave the list of rules on the dining room table. I set all my stuff down in the living room, and then I wandered into the kitchen. Sure enough, there was a piece of paper on the wooden table, held down by an empty glass. Number 1. Lock the door when you come in. Number 2. Only answer calls from Marvin. Number 3. Don't turn on any faucets between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Number 4. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say, after 10 p.m. Number 5. If the door to the closet at the end of the hall is open, sleep in the library. If it is closed, sleep in any of the bedrooms. Number 6. The gardener comes at midnight. If he starts knocking on the windows, hide. Number 7. Turn the TV on and let it play on static through the night. Do not forget to do this. Help yourself to anything in the fridge. Smiley face. I'll pay you in the morning. Good night. I made sure to follow all the rules. To be honest, I was regretting my decision. But seeing as I was already here and I was getting paid, I decided to stay anyways. I figured as long as I followed all the rules, I'd be perfectly fine. Still, it felt a bit odd. What was this, a haunted house? Nevertheless, I lounged around the house for a few hours as I was planning on going to sleep around 9, since that's the time all the weird shit would begin to happen. At 8:50, I brushed my teeth, using the faucet for the last time before 9. I checked the closet in the hallway, and upon seeing that it was open, I moved my stuff into the library and got ready to sleep on the couch. I locked all the doors just in case, and laid on the couch, scrolling through my phone. I hadn't gotten any more messages from Jack, and I started to think up scenarios and reasons as to why he had such strict and peculiar sets of rules in his house. I had probably dozed off at some point because at exactly 10:16 p.m. I was woken up by the doorbell ringing. I was about to get up to check, but then I remembered the rule. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. I stayed on the couch, trying not to move, paranoid that they would hear even the slightest sound.
It's the police! Open up!
I didn't move.
Hello? It's the police! Open up or we're coming in!
I still didn't move, but I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. There was silence for a while after that. Then the doorbell rang again.
Hey, it's Jack. Let me in.
It sounded like Jack, but still, I didn't get up. He would have a key, wouldn't he? Why would he need me to let him in? This continued for almost a full hour. Different people would ring the doorbell, announce themselves, and then disappear when I didn't respond. I was finally able to fall asleep, and the gardener never came. When I woke up the next morning, I heard someone in the kitchen. I got up slowly and unlocked the door as quietly as possible, taking my phone with me and walking across the living room into the kitchen. I stopped at the entrance and peered in. It was Jack! He was standing in front of the stove, stirring something as the coffee machine brewed coffee on the counter behind him. "Hey, good morning," he said when he saw me. "Hi," I replied, nervous. I hadn't seen him in person before, but he looked exactly like his pictures online. "Scrambled eggs?" he asked, motioning to the pan with a wooden spoon. "Yeah, thanks." Oh, okay.
Alright, I hate to be rude and interrupt the story, but it's
That's all
almost
right.
2:30 a.m. here at 𝐃 Leafland and I need to go to sleep. Himemya can only overcome the need for sleep for so long. See you in the VOD.
See ya! Have a good rest. That was one crazy scrambled eggs, I know, right? So, I ate my breakfast and I drank some coffee in silence. "So, how was it?" he asked. "It was okay, nothing super freaky happened," I replied. "Cool." There was an awkwardness in the room. So I was like, I think I'm gonna go now. I have class. I trailed off. I didn't, but I really wanted to get out of there. "Oh, no, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you some other time," he replied. I grabbed my stuff and he walked me to my car. I could see him standing in the driveway staring at me as I left. When I got home, I unpacked all my stuff and noticed that I still had the list with me. I sat on my bed and read it again. I felt my body tense up as I realized I had forgotten something. Turn the TV on and let it play on static throughout the night. Do not forget to do this. Turn the TV on and let it play on static through the night. Do not forget to do this. Do not forget to do this. I stared at the words on the page until they lost meaning. Beside me, my phone buzzed, snapping me to reality. It was a $1,000 payment. I looked at my phone and then back at the list. Maybe it wasn't as important as he made it out to be? As I was thinking this over, a text from Jack came with it. "I'm not in town right now. I should be back next week, so you're free from running any more errands for you until then. Just send the payment. Go do something fun, winky face." I stared at the message and read it again. And again. And once more for good measure. I'm not in town right now. I thought back to this morning and how Jack was in his house. How he gave me breakfast. I'm not in town right now. Within minutes, a new text came in this time from a number I didn't recognize. "Did you forget to do something?" The text was followed by a picture of Jack, or whoever this version of Jack was, standing in front of the TV. He didn't respond. Oh my goodness! Hi, Miru! Hello! Hello! Welcome. Today we're telling spooky stories around the campfire. Hello, Thunderling Reed! Hi, Miru! Hello! Let me mod you real quick. Raiders, I'm so sorry. I have jump scare alerts on. I have jump scare alerts on for the entire October, so I'm so sorry if I scared the crap out of you. But yeah, today we are telling spooky stories around the campfire. For new viewers, hello, welcome. Hime. I'm Himemiya from 𝐃𝐨𝐧𝐚𝐥 Gen 2 Phase Alias. Yeah. Very, very spooky stream. It's becoming tradition to do dono alerts when raiders arrive. True. Yeah, long story short, if a sugar daddy tells you he's gonna pay you 700 just to run some errands for him, don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Okay. Yes, thank you for the shout out. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for helping me shout out. Alright. So this next one is also one of my favorites. Not because of anything supernatural or spoopy, but because it's something that could probably actually happen. And because I am woman, this is probably getting into TMI areas, but I promise you it's a very good immersive story. Okay. It's called Tampon Recall. So I've been tracking this whole tampon recall business very closely. I've saved every article even though they are incredibly limited. I've collected any testimony I can find online. It's an important issue to me for many reasons. The first being I am a woman and I happen to menstruate every month. The second being I was one of the 60% of women affected by this recall. I have decided to document my exact experience in case something even worse starts to happen. I bet a lot of you reading this have had a similar experience with the recall, or know a woman that has gone through something similar. If so, please let me know. You're not alone. I live in America, so I can only speak to my own experience, although I know similar events occurred in the UK, Canada, and other countries. I was offered large sums of money to keep my story quiet. We all were, but I'm not taking their money. Women died because of this. I saw a woman waste in front of me. And they want me to shut up? Never. I don't care what happens now. So, it was last November when I started experiencing symptoms. Now, take into account, I've been using tampons since I was a teenager. I know all about toxic shock syndrome and basic hygiene. I'm not new to this. But that month, I started experiencing something odd. I got my period near the first, like I typically do. About a day into my period, I started feeling an intense itching sensation. It wasn't a normal itch. It felt like someone was dragging a rake down the inside of my vagina. I wasn't worried it was an STD, since I was still a virgin. I spent the whole day at work uncomfortable, squirming around in my chair. I couldn't wait to get home. When I finally did, I drew a bath. I took off my clothes, took out the tampon, and lowered myself into the water. The warm water made everything much better. I breathed a sigh of relief. It must have been just a weird reaction to something. I got out, put in a new tampon, and went to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night in incredibly excruciating pain. The itching was back, but now it was more like razors. I pulled away my covers to see that my lower half was covered in blood. I screamed and tried to get to the bathroom, but my legs were too wobbly from the pain. I ended up crawling there, sobbing. It seriously felt like someone was cutting me up from the inside. Is this supposed to be a scary story? It's more... it's more gory than scary, but it's probably scary for a woman because it sounds like something that could actually happen. I managed to kneel by my bathtub and fill it with water. I reached down tentatively, afraid that taking it out would cause me even more pain. I slid it out and stared. tampon looked like it had been ripped apart while it was inside of me. I got into the bathtub, but the pain didn't stop. If anything, it just got worse. I remember getting lightheaded. I realized that the blood filling up the tub wasn't just my period. I must have wounds inside me that were bleeding heavily, and I was losing too much blood. The water was drawing it all out of me, and my mind was getting fuzzy. I blacked out. Thank God my neighbor heard me screaming and called 911. I woke up in the hospital. My legs were in stirrups. The pain had dulled, although I could still feel an ache from in between my legs. I groaned in agony. My sounds must have alerted the doctor, who shuffled over to me. I looked up at him. What happened to me? He frowned and checked one of the machines I was hooked up to. You lost a lot of blood. You can't get into the bath if you got cut that deep. That's how people kill themselves. He sighed. You are the 13th woman to be admitted here with these kinds of wounds. Can you tell me what happened? Nothing happened. Just started suddenly. Let me guess. Are you menstruating? I squinted at him. Yeah. Did you use a tampon? Yeah. And that's when he told me about the recall. Apparently, it hadn't gone public yet, but companies had alerted the Surgeon General that they were about to announce a worldwide recall of all tampons. The Surgeon General had alerted hospitals that they may see an influx of patients with extreme wounds inside of their vaginas. I was too injured to go home, so I stayed at the hospital. My wounds were not getting better. Oh shit, wait, hold on. I accidentally pressed button. My wounds were not getting better. A doctor would stitch me up, and thank God for morphine. But within a few hours, the stitches would be broken. They rolled out a rash, and they knew I wasn't doing it to myself. A nurse told me that by my second day, there were 40 other women in the same condition. I learned later that 2 women had already died. I was terrified. I had no idea what was wrong with me, and the pain was horrible. If it wasn't for the drugs they gave me, I might not have made it. It was 10 days later that the press conference was held. I had watched it from my bed. I was now always hooked up with pints of new blood because I kept losing so much. By this time, I wasn't even menstruating anymore. It was just all blood loss from the cuts that kept ripping up the insides of me. The woman who gave the press conference wore a neat pink skirt suit. She repped Tampax, but all the brands were giving the same speech. She said that something had contaminated the entire stock of tampons and called it an unfortunate event. She recommended that anyone who had used a tampon in the past month report immediately to a hospital, and said that although there were extreme medical concerns associated with the tampon use, there was a cure. It was called 𝐒𝐴𝐷𝐼𝐴 unilateris. I figured it was the technical medical term for some drug. She apologized once. Just once. And then the press conference was over. After the broadcast, the hospital was filled with women. They didn't have enough rooms for everyone, and eventually there were 2 cots brought into my room, and I now had 2 roommates. Their names were Mary and Justine. I was honestly grateful for the company. Mary was in terrible shape. She had used the tampons for her entire period, almost 7 days, and ignored her pain and bleeding. She had no insurance, so she just didn't go to the hospital. Justine told me that the infection had spread to her uterus and was most likely already loose in her body. Mary's skin was gray and she was always crying. The doctor gave her as much pain meds as possible, but it didn't help. Justine and I would talk lightly while Mary sobbed in her bed. They gave us a cure as soon as it arrived to the hospital. It was contained in the pill that we were supposed to put inside our cervix. The pill would disintegrate and the medicine would be absorbed. Of course, the insertion was incredibly painful, but I just wanted this horror story to be over. No one told us. No one said what would happen. No one told us exactly what was going on. That's why they offered us all a settlement until it was all over. If we stayed quiet, they can rebuild. But what I saw that night will live with me forever. Once the suppository was in place, the doctor left our room and closed the door. It was a bit weird that he closed the door, but I didn't notice it at the time. I made some stupid joke about this being the most action I've gotten in months. Justine laughed, I think. Mary was whimpering. A few hours passed. We watched stupid TV and just chatted aimlessly. Right around 11 p.m., Justine said she felt something weird. I looked over at her and she was twitching. I asked her if I should call the nurse, but as she removed her blanket, my mouth went dry. I could see them coming out from under her ground. There must have been thousands. Thousands of tiny ants started crawling out of her. She began to scream. They moved with robotic symmetry, all of them following each other out from between her legs. They crawled up her body onto her face. She tried to swat them off, but they were just too many. They all crawled to the top of her head and sat there. They were covered in blood. They tracked blood on her skin as they crawled. I pushed the nurse button again and again, but no one came. Yells were echoing from the other rooms as well. Then Mary started to scream. I was afraid to look, but I couldn't take my eyes away. Ants started crawling out of her as well, but they seemed to come from other places. Then it dawned on me. They were eating through her skin to come to the surface. The infection had spread to so much of her body that the ants were everywhere, digging their way up to the top of her head. I watched in horror as one ant burrowed out of her eye. She started screaming and then stopped and started gurgling. I'm ashamed to say I looked away. She was gonna die from this. It happened to me too, but I don't want to go into detail. Just know it was the worst thing to ever happen to me. I still can't sleep because I can still see them crawling over my skin, leaving marks of red all over me. I can't go an hour without feeling like they're still all over me. No amount of money will erase these memories. It turns out 𝐒𝐴𝐷𝐼𝐸𝐶𝐸 unilateralis is a fungus. It eats ants out from the inside and takes a hold of their brains. It makes them go to the highest point they can before killing the ant. The Surgeon General must have been forced to use this because the ants were burrowed so deep inside our bodies that typical methods couldn't reach them. The doctors knew the entire time that we had ants inside of us, but they said nothing. The Tampon rep said nothing. They allowed us to suffer by ourselves in the unknown. Like most of the women affected, I have lasting damage. My vagina is scarred and intercourse is nearly impossible. Even worse, I will never be able to carry children. For weeks afterwards, a lone ant would climb out of me, finally submitting to the fungus. I used to worry that I would never get rid of them. We have no idea what effect the fungus itself will have on us. I heard a rumor in my support group that an affected woman climbed to the top of a telephone pole before dying, just like the ants did. Needless to say, I don't use tampons anymore. Spooky coochie. Spooky coochie. Yeah, that's a true nightmare. This is what I mean when I say it's not like paranormal horror, but it is still horrible. That is still horrible to imagine. Oh my god. But yeah,
Steel wool tampons.
honestly, the scariest part is that like it's written like it could have happened, like it actually could have happened. Body horror, yeah. Oh, ants. Okay. All right. Next. My best friend is eating herself, and I have no way to prove it. I'm coming here for advice. My friend, who we'll call C, for privacy's sake, has been tubby her whole life and recently started putting off weight really fast. At first, I was concerned that C may have developed an eating disorder, not only because of how quickly she's losing weight, but also because she's been insecure about her size her whole life. and had just gotten her first boyfriend around the time she'd started losing weight. I dismissed these concerns though because I didn't notice anything wrong with her. She always finished her plates, had 3 meals a day, and overall didn't seem to have an unhealthy relationship with food. Her boyfriend was proud of her and was careful to make sure she wouldn't push herself even harder for him. I never heard her throwing up or gagging, even when we went to bed on the days I sleep over. Although her bedroom is near her bathroom and a light sleeper. So that rules out both bulimia and anorexia. But last week when I visited her, I woke up in the middle of the night after a nightmare. It wasn't exactly a nightmare, because nothing happened. It was just red, a blank red screen or something in my head. And then I woke up with the feeling of having to pee, so I go out in the hallway and I see that the bathroom light is on. You might think that this 𝐒𝐥 part is weird, but we've been close our whole lives. We even took baths together when we were kids, and she is the only one who uses that bathroom. I go into the bathroom silently. I wanted to scare her a bit, laugh about it, ask to pee, and then go back to bed. She was kneeling over the toilet. I thought she was just gonna throw up, so maybe she did have bulimia after all. But I could hear her chewing. Her breathing was ragged and gravelly, like she was just getting over a bad cold. Took one step closer. She was chewing her arm. I almost laughed, thinking how itchy could it be. And then I saw red. Dripping onto the toilet seat, dripping into the toilet, and making those slow feather-like dripping noises that water makes. I couldn't move. I stopped breathing when I saw it. Sorry, I had to yawn. I was sad for her and how bad her mental state was in order for her to even think of doing things like that. And honestly, a part of me was mainly terrified that she'd be chewing me 𝐒𝐥. But those were all just basic instincts. My first real thought was what I was seeing was definitely self-harm and suicide idealization. And my second thought was that I absolutely could not interfere. I know her and I know how things like these could go. I know that when I got caught doing something similar, albeit more quote-unquote normal, I lashed out at everyone who tried to get me help. So I would tip her parents off in the morning. Tell them to look at her wrist while she's still sleeping. Then she paused, moved her arm as if she was raising her hand, blood pouring down and soaking into her light blue sleeve, and spat out her flesh in the toilet. It landed with a sickening plop. I was disgusted. The red clumps of flesh and the thick smell of blood permeated the room and made it humid. It was sad seeing the tattered, chewed up flesh on her arm. And I was also alarmed seeing the bone and the yellow fat scattered about. I'm not the best author. I know I should show and not tell. But how else do I put this? My best friend is an auto-cannibal. I witnessed my best friend auto-cannibalize herself. I'm sorry that I don't feel like making this all flowery for you, though I know this automatically makes it less interesting. I should have left before this, but I stayed long enough to see her pluck the yellow globs out of her flesh and carefully wrap them in a large velvet pouch with a weird sigil on it that I'd never seen before. Again, disgust, sadness, the feeling of being rooted in place. But an animal part of me, or whatever other being that existed in the same material that I'm made of now, knows that she's almost done and is about to turn around. I'm smart enough to listen to it, so I ducked out, careful, silent, the need to pee suddenly evaporating into thin air, and the pressure in my bladder turning into a cold, heavy, dreadful mass lining my gut. Quickly, on silent feet, I get into my sleeping bag and roll over to my usual position, which thankfully doesn't face her bed or the door. I even out my breathing. I stab my fingers into palm to make sure they don't go through and that I'm actually awake right now. I hear the toilet flush. Sink runs. Footsteps. Door opening. Footstep. Closed door. Doors closing. Footsteps and on until she finds her way back into bed. I don't notice any unusual sounds. No crying or sniffling or anything that usually accompanies self-harm. She goes from the bathroom straight to her bedroom. I wait until I hear her snoring softly to release some of the tension in my body. It took about 10 minutes of staring into the blackness and chewing on my lips, but I finally work up the courage to check her out. For her safety, I remember specifically the thing that got me out of bed was, remember, this is still your sea. So I get over and tiptoe to her bedside. Cautiously, muscles burning and my heart about to implode, I fold her blanket in half and check her wrists. It was gone. Her skin was... well, her skin was actually there. There was no trace of her teeth or blood or anything. I checked her other arm. No bandages, no blood, nothing. So I tuck her back in, tiptoe back to my sleeping bag. At this point, I'm seriously concerned that this was just an episode of hysteria or psychosis. But nothing particularly out of the ordinary has been happening with me lately. No other symptoms though, and there are usually signs before someone experiences psychosis that vivid. I mentioned I've had a history of mental illness before, but nothing related to something like this. But now there is no doubt in my mind that everything I smelled, heard, and saw in that bathroom was fake or imagined. My imagination when I control it isn't even that vivid. Even my dreams are blurry. Like, I take my glasses off. That was real. So you can imagine my confusion when not only was her flesh intact, but there was no sign of it happening in the bathroom, even though I woke up before her. It's reasonable enough to deduce that she cleaned it herself, but that fast? She left the bathroom moments before I did. I scoured the bathroom but couldn't find the pouch. My mother was downstairs making breakfast. I don't think I need to clarify this, but I didn't have any sort of appetite. I went back into the bedroom to get dressed. She was sitting up, awake earlier than ever, no blood in her, no teeth marks. And she was wearing the same pajamas as last night, not a speck of blood in them. Just a gravy stain she got last night during dinner. She could not have gotten up to clean it. I was awake the whole night. She was oddly happy to see me, even though she was exact opposite of a morning person and was usually grumpy when she woke up. But this morning, she practically dragged me downstairs for breakfast, which she never threw up, and I was there until noon, when my parents started pitching a fit over my absence. And I couldn't stop looking at her. She was glowing, healthy, smiling, joking with her mother, planning what to do for today. At one point, I was just staring so hard, she had to ask me what was wrong and jokingly if there was something on her face. Her mother was worried about why I wasn't touching my food after they had all finished. I couldn't tell her. How could I? Who would believe me? I told her I didn't feel well. And fast forward to today, she looked amazing. No loose skin, and she was even developing an hourglass figure and a thigh gap. Her clothes were looser, she was healthy and whole, and she was happy. And I love seeing her happy. I love that she's proud of how far she's come and how well her life is going, but whenever I see her, all I can think of is her bent over her toilet and eating her arm. It's ruining everything. I cannot enjoy myself around her, and I find myself constantly worried about her health. I'm worrying about how to proceed in a careful way so I don't lose my closest friend. I don't know, is this a psychological issue even though she's happier than she's ever been? How do I help? Do I have a right to interfere? How do I get proof? Who will believe me? What is she even doing? Please let me know what to do. I can't lose her. Jesus. She's single? Dude, it literally says she has a boyfriend. What do you mean?
Outback steak sounds good right now.
Joan did this? Oh yeah, it's all Joan. It's all Joan. Maybe the boyfriend is just... Maybe the boyfriend's been eating it. Okay. Next one. Watch out for customized nails. Check these out! 𝐃𝐨𝐧𝐬 waved a set of pink paper fingernails under my nose. But you can't catch me with these customized nails! I picked up my 11-year-old niece 𝐃𝐶 from track practice after my warehouse shift on weekdays. Wow, so scary!
You're what you eat.
You're what you... Oh no. So, at first I only agreed to help my brother, but I come to appreciate the daily car ride with my niece. She took care of all the conversation herself, and something about listening to her helped me decompress, even if I didn't understand half of what she talked about. 𝐃𝐶's latest obsession was making fake fingernails out of literally anything, from tape and post-it notes to screws or snack chips. I figured it was some dumb trend from TikTok. But still, it creeped me the hell out pulling up to 𝐃𝐶's middle school and seeing all those packs of kids walking around with what looked like homemade claws. After a few days, though, I got used to 𝐃𝐶's fake pig... Why I keep yawning. I got used to 𝐃𝐶's fake paper fingernails. And when she showed up once without them, I noticed. For once, 𝐃𝐶 didn't start talking right away. She slammed the car door and stared at her pinch-tight knees. What's wrong? I asked. Where are your, fingernails? Lost them. 𝐃𝐶 shrugs. It was the only thing she said during the whole ride home. The knees of 𝐃𝐶's jeans were dirty and there was a scrape on her palm. Next day, 𝐃𝐶 wasn't standing where I usually picked her up at the corner of middle school. So I rolled down the window to call for her. But as I did, I heard a young girl's cackling laughter. These girls I thought I recognized from 𝐃𝐶's class came striding around the corner, giving me the stink eye as they crossed the park. A few minutes later, 𝐃𝐶 came storming around the corner and got into my car. This time, she didn't say anything. 𝐃, what's wrong? I tried again. My niece shook her head. I know something's wrong. 𝐃, you gotta talk to me. When I grabbed her chin and made her look up, I saw tears streaming down her cheek. Those girls... 𝐃 sniffed. By the fence at the entrance of the park, one of the girls waved to us with 𝐃's hot pink paper nails. Hi! I got out of the car, hands on my hips, too angry to think straight. These girls scattered, giggling. And I realized the position I was in. I was what? A 6'3" heavyset guy with a beard. What was I gonna do? Chase some 12-year-old girls to the park? I clenched my fist and got back into the car. When I dropped 𝐃 off at home, I talked to my brother Sam about what I seen, but he was so tired I don't think he even heard me. No matter how I played it, 𝐃 refused to name the girls, but I could see the light and joy going out of her day by day. It had been a long time I had felt so powerless. Till today. This afternoon, 𝐃 practically skipped to the car and started telling me about her day as soon as she hopped inside. The change was almost frightening. Then again, I hadn't seen any of the girls around either. I figured out that might be the cause of my niece's sudden cheerfulness. The Lexus won't be bothering us anymore now that she's suspended. 𝐃 was rambling. I realized that she just dropped the name of one of her bullies. Oh? I tried to sound uninterested. How'd that happen? I gave her some new nails and she got in trouble. 𝐃 shrugged. If she was trying to look innocent, I wasn't fooled. There was definitely more to the story than that, but I didn't get anything else out of her until we pulled into my brother's driveway. Both of her parents met us at the door for a chance. My god, honey, are you alright? My sister-in-law grabbed 𝐃's face, caressed her hair. Did you see it? My brother asked. See what? I was completely confused. Some kid scratched the hell out of one of 𝐃's teachers. She's at the hospital with these gouge marks all over her. Like she was attacked by a damn mountain lion and it was all over the news. I shot 𝐃 a dark glance. Do you know which teacher got hurt? My sister-in-law wondered. Yeah, Mr. Kurtz. I remember that name. Math teacher, the one who Cassidy said was always picking on her. Was it Alexis who hurt Mr. Kurtz? I demanded. Cass went pale. Yeah. Now she was trying to sound casual. Yeah, that's right. I gave her some new nails and got in trouble. So she said. Cassidy? I began. Can you show me those new nails you gave Alexis? Well, I mean, I could, but like, why? You don't care about stuff like that. Cassidy clenched her backpack and tried to go inside the house, but my brother blocked her. Let's see him, Cass. Reluctantly, Cass took out an oval box from inside her bag. It was peach, the color of bright light shining through skin, and uncomfortably warm to the touch. I wondered where on earth Cassidy had found such a thing. The ivory-colored glass gave way beneath my thumb. Inside was a multicolored variety of high-end fake nails. I was fascinated by them. Blue nails were the color of the sky on the last day of summer. The red ones had a pattern that I had seen before on the dress of a woman. In a dream. Who gave you these? My sister-in-law considered her interrogation. The woman. Cassidy whispered. Something in her voice snapped me out of my reverie. What woman? Woman in the woods behind the skull. She said if I gave them to Alexis and those girls, they'd never bother me again. I felt the blood rush out of my face. Behind Cassidy's middle school was nothing but forest. There was no reason for any adult to be back there, unless... I don't have time for this. My brother rubbed his head in irritation. Give them to me. I'll look into it. Driving home, my eyes just kept drifting to the weird oval box in my passenger seat. The whole situation was just too strange. Cassidy hadn't been able to tell us anything more about the woman behind the skull. In fact, she said she couldn't even remember when she met her, what she looked like. And I knew my Cass. There was no lie in her eyes. When I got home, I left a box of fingernails in my bathroom and did some more digging. Apparently, Alexa's mother, Sarah Homestead, was active in the Parent-Teacher Association. And her phone number was listed on Facebook. What do you want? A voice picked up phone on the second ring. My daughter and I aren't giving any interviews, and I don't give a damn about your goddamn opinion about this family. Alexa's mother sobbed. Mrs. Homestuck? Did I just say Homestuck? I want to fucking kill myself. God damn it. God damn it! Okay, try this again. Mrs. Homestead. Mrs. Homestead. I ventured. I don't think what happened was Alexis's fault. That got me a long silence. I'm Cassidy Lang's uncle. Oh, Cassidy. There was a long pause. Look, Mr. Lang, I'm aware that our girls aren't exactly friends. Alexis is a firecracker. I've told her time and time to be more thoughtful about how she treats people. But this... Sarah Homestead burst into tears again. The police say that poor teacher will be permanently disfigured. They want to press criminal charges. What did Alexis have to say about what happened? She was horrified. She said it wasn't her. And then she put on these fake nails and they just acted on their own. Honey? My girlfriend Kate called from the bathroom. Where did you get these? You're really cute. She walked into the living room with a shining set of lilac clip-on nails on her fingers. I'll call you back, I whispered into the phone, then turned on my girlfriend. Where did you get those? The box in the bathroom. Kate sat at the kitchen table, blowing on her tea. What's the big deal? She drummed her new nails irritably on the formica. Or did she? Kate was staring at her head. Her fingernails tapped against the table again. Something about the way they moved reminded me of a rabid dog straining against its chain. I'm not... Kate stammered, suddenly tugging on her new nails. They won't come off! Kate's fingers writhed like the tentacles of some deep-sea creature as they tried to evade her other hand. Just watching it made me feel sick. I pressed her hand into the table and tried to keep her squirming fingers still. I finally caught a nail, and as the others dug into my hand, I pulled. Look! They're connected! No! She screamed. Looking closer, I saw that she was right. The lilac clip-ons had tunneled through her cuticle somehow, and even her veins had turned a faint shade of purple. But I was more concerned about freeing my hand from the razor-sharp fingertips that had disappeared inside the flesh of my palm. It was only with a scream and a sickening splatter that I was able to pull away. I put all my weight onto Kate's hand, but I couldn't hold her down. Once free, Kate's leg now slashed and stabbed at me like 5 tiny knives. They dragged Kate around the kitchen after me as she tried to hold back her own hand. The situation would have been funny if it wasn't so terrifying. I blocked those glistening, blood-splattered purple claws with a bamboo cutting board, but another swipe flung it away. I shoved Kate away with a stool and dived into the laundry room, putting a solid wooden door between my girlfriend's insane new fingers and I. No sooner had I shoved my arm against it than raking blows began to hammer it from the other side. With each strike, the hinges splintered a little more, and Kate screamed. Nails didn't care how much pain they put her through in their attempt to get to me. On the other side of the door, the pounding finally stopped, and was followed by a low, sick gurgle. I knew I'd be a fool to open the door, but the silence from Kate was more frightening than her screaming had been. What the hell could be making that noise? Kate? I ventured. But that sick, burbling noise only intensified. I couldn't take it anymore. With only a mop handle to protect myself with, I burst back into the kitchen. I found Kate slumped up against the wall, with her own fingers buried in her throat up to the knuckle. With an awful squelching sound, Kate's hand pulled away from itself and began dragging itself, her limp body, towards me. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. I backed out through the laundry room toward the garage, stumbling over my unwashed work clothes and a fallen mop bucket, barely seeing what I was going as I fled to my car. Were there any more? I screamed at the speakerphone at my third as I sped towards his home on the other side of town. Did Cassie give out any other fake nails? Alas, my brother groaned. I'd clearly woken him. She's been in her room all night. Says she's felt sick ever since she met that woman behind the school. She said, oh shit, wait. You sound bad, man. You alright? Just ask her! I hissed and waited until my brother came back to the phone. Cass says she'd given them to 2 other girls, Alexa's friends. Why? What's going on? Get their addresses and call the police. I'll be there in 10 minutes. When I arrived, Cassie was groggy. She said she'd never heard about any women in the woods or given out any strange clip-on nails. It was just a thing on TikTok, she mumbled, then rolled around and went back to sleep. By morning, even the nails themselves were gone. Gone from the bloody, mutilated fingers of Alexis and her friends. Gone from Kate's corpse. Even the weird peach-colored box had disappeared from my bathroom. After a pancake breakfast, Cassie was humming cheerfully. She didn't remember a thing. Sleepless and numb, I looked up from my cup of coffee and shared a silent nod with my brother. And we would make sure that no one ever found out. That's why I've changed the names, ages, and occupations of the people still involved, but I still feel like I have to share the warning that while I still can. If you find a pair of fake nails that aren't yours, leave them where they lie. Nice fart.
Don't mind the not spoopy alert. I'm just building up pity for the guaranteed 0.01%.
Yeah, building pity, that's what they all say. Yeah, I think you're even tag. You'll get it someday, maybe. Didn't even melt the body until— oh my god, did you guys watch that
Cassidy and nails make me think of Cassowary
the Jeffrey Dahmer
Claus,
documentary on
_HiMenLT.
Netflix? Cassowary Claus. You're right. Yeah, did you guys watch that Jeffrey Dahmer documentary on Netflix? I started watching through it the other day. It was pretty cool. It's really well done as well. Evan Peters, as usual, did a great job playing the guy. Dahmer? Is it Dahmer or Dahmer? I'm not sure. Jeffrey Dahmer? The Milwaukee serial killer. Oh, Dahmer. I see, I see. Yeah, it's really cool. It's done pretty well. It's not a documentary, it's more like a complete live-action reenactment of his crimes and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm eating candy. Yum, 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 yum. You live 2 hours away from the murders? Oh, shit. Yeah, it's fucked up. He got a... Oh, my chair, my chair. He got away with it so many times. Literally, like, when the cops were at his house or, like, investigating him. It's crazy. You think I would get away with murder if I tried? Yeah? Yeah, probably. No? Wait, what? What do you mean no? What do you mean no? Okay. Next one. This is gonna be the last one, I think. This will be the last one. Alright now, buckle up. Hundreds of people enter the corn maze in my small Midwestern town. Not all of them come out again. The maze appears at the same time and place every year, although nobody alive could say who makes it. When the mist clears on the morning of September 23rd, it's all... No, it's not happening. No 0.01 for you guys. It's always there, like a man-sized cut in the solid wall of Joshua Brock's far cornfield. The Brocks were here long before the first white faces came riding up from the river with their guns, smallpox, and whiskey. I reckon they'll be here long after the rest of us are gone too. In all that time, the Brock's farm has neither grown nor shrunk, and how could it, seeing as how it's bordered on 3 sides by the weird stretch of trees that old folks call the Hag's Wood? It's in that field, the one buttoned up against those twisted trees, where the maze begins. Between sunrise and sunset, it's a normal corn maze. Hell, some people even let their kids play there. From dusk till dawn, however, well, that's something else. There have always been legends about that maze. Bad 10 on the accent. Okay, wait. About how anything electric, from phones to drones to flashlights, goes dead the moment it approaches that wall of corn. About the gruesome fates of those who attempt to cut, burn, or otherwise interfere with the maze. About the single wish that's granted to anyone who makes it through the maze at night. Do you want me to continue with the accents, or is it getting grating? I don't know how long I can keep this up for. Yes? Okay. I'll try my best. Hey, last rumor is the reason for the carnival atmosphere that gets hold of our town this time of year. Folk come from all over. Celebrities, Saudi princes, official-looking types in long black cars, drunken teenagers from a few counties over trying to win a bet or impress a girl. We locals just sit up our lawn chairs in front of the maze, enjoy the smell of corn husks and wood smoke, and listen to the dying leaves of the Hag's Wood rustle in the wind. Our kids buff for apples or paint pumpkins while we watch the parade of out-of-towners. Sometimes they look scared, like something's after them, and they get anything to get away from it. Others have a darkness about them, like they're hungry for revenge. We'll walk carelessly into the corn, laughing at fate. But it doesn't matter. They all end up in the same place. Most who go in never come out again. Even if they do, there's more than one way to grant a wish. I remember this old fella who came all the way out from California. He made it though. And all he wanted was to get the leukemia out of his little girl. When he got home, it was out alright. It had ripped itself right out of her in little chunks that splattered all over the carpet of their home on the oceanfront. The way I heard it, he jumped off a cliff afterwards. And then there was a local girl who wished for a perfect boyfriend who would love her forever. She got him too, except he was a life-size porcelain doll. She said her handsome doll moved when folks were looking and did terrible things. Wouldn't let her out of his sight. Last I saw of that awful thing was when she begged all the men in town to burn it for her. Maybe I'm going senile, but I swear I heard it scream inside the flames. I never figured myself for one of the fools who risked the court maze. Not till I had any other choice. Early onset dementia was the diagnosis. I'm lucky I have a straightforward small-town doctor who told it to me plain, and by the end of it, you won't even recognize yourself. The whiskey I drank when I got home tasted like ashes. Tasted bitter as my future. I'd worked my ass off all my life, and for what? To be robbed of my golden years? I drank until my nips are... nips? No, not nips! No! Freudian slip. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I drank until my lips were numb. Until bad ideas started to make sense. The moon was high above the fields that night. A slow spiral into hell or a walk through an endless maze. What's the damn difference? Or so I thought then. I was halfway to the Bronx farm before I even realized I was behind the wheel. I was that drunk. Time and time again, a little voice in the back of my head, my conscience or whatever you want to call it, told me to pull out the road, sleep it off, that things would look better come morning. Time and time, I ignored it. Not till I was standing in front of the wall of corn that I had second thoughts. I didn't even know what I wished for if I made it through. There I was, a 56-year-old man believing in wishes, although in that atmosphere it was easy to believe. The corn seemed taller and thicker in the moonlight. It seemed to shake with excitement when I got host, like a hungry dog eager to gnaw on an old bone. I took a deep breath. The air smelled like wet dirt and rotten leaves. That pesky little voice piped again, telling me that this was my last chance to stay in the sane and honest world of living folks. And the whiskey told it to shut the hell up, and, well, what can I say? The whiskey won. I'm sure there's some people offended by this. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. But it only seemed fitting to tell it with, like, a kind of, like, the Western accent. I don't even know how to do it, but okay. I do a list. My mama used to tell me to never get myself into anything that I couldn't get out of it again. But by the time I thought of her, the maze had closed up behind me. That's when reality set in. I didn't panic, didn't try to shove my way out through the plant. I knew what happened to the ones who tried. Is that what Pippa sounds like? Is that a good enough Pippa impression for you guys? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Wait, I'm gonna try. I knew because, well, it might be a lie to say that everyone in town avoided the Fox corn maze. Few foolhardy souls had gone in and fewer had returned. They were tight-lipped about what they'd seen and what they wished for. We were never sure if those were the conditions of their escape or if what they'd experienced was just too awful to talk about. Even so, rumors trickled down over the years. Hip impersonator? Guys, chat! Shut the fuck up! can't. I can't do this anymore. Okay, no, I can't. I'm so sorry, Pippa. Okay, anyways. In the shadow of those tall stalks, I wish I paid attention. At least I remember not to panic or touch the plants. And the chill air was sobering me up fast. When I started walking, my feet squelched in the black and boggy earth. As soon as I could, I took a right towards the heart of the maze. Stories said that you had to pass through the darkest part of the maze before you come out the other side. If you'd stayed on the edges, the distances would play funny tricks with your mind and you'd wander there forever. What else had the story said? There was something about a veiled woman and a painted man, and as soon as I thought of it, I heard it. The Whistler. Hell, maybe thinking of it is what gives it power. I stepped on the cornstalk, and when it broke with a hideous crack, the sound was behind me. Gentle, casual whispering. It was far off, but getting closer by the minute. I picked up my pace. The Whistler whistled faster. Whistle first? I can't whistle. That's the best I can do. I can't make a water drop noise with my throat though. Okay, there. I tried. Nailed it. Yeah. What was it? Okay, anyways. How the hell have folks gotten away with it? Away from it? I tried to remember. I thought back to being a kid, gathered around with the others around Abby DeMille's porch. She run into the Whistler when she tried her luck in the maze back in '85. If you hear whistling in the core maze, she tell it. Wait. If you hear whistling in the core maze, told us, take a turn and let it pass on by. Don't look, don't speak, just wait. And remember, when the whistling's gone, it's safe to move on. I slowed my pace to walk. The Whistler slowed down too, but it was still gaining on me. I saw a turn up ahead. Behind the corner of the corn wall, I stood stock still and listened. The whistling wavered. It sounded confused, like it was irritated that it missed me. I began to hear something else, too. A low scraping sound, like claws or a rusty metal being dragged over dirt. Abby had told us not to look, but I couldn't help it. Rising up in the starry sky above the cornstalks, I saw a huge scythe go passing by as the Whistler continued on its way. The blade was caked with dark stains and chunks of meat. I didn't look around the corner until that. I didn't want to see anymore. I don't think I breathed again until it was gone. I continued on my way. Time works differently in the maze. Sometimes the folks that walk in between dusk and dawn come out just a few minutes later, but they're thin and gray, as though they'd aged 20 years. Then there's cases like Clayton Halstead, who went into the maze in '51 and came out in 2006. He hadn't aged a day. Before he ate a bullet on Christmas Eve, Clayton used to say that there were rooms inside the maze. Square areas cut out of the corn. As to what might be in them, he didn't like to say. Only once, when he was plastered out of his mind at Owl's Bar, did Clayton make a single mysterious comment. You know what, fellas? He'd burped and then looked down into his bottle. Sometimes, when I'm sitting on this bar stool, y'all, this cushion gets to feeling like hay and the beer starts to smell like straw. And I get the most god-awful feeling that I'm not really here, but instead I'm just back there, surrounded by never-ending walls of cord. Makes me afraid y'all just disappear and the moon will still be high about me, and I realize. At that point, he'd always shake his head and order another drink. He'd keep that up until he fell off his stool. I thought of Clayton because I saw one of those rooms on my ride, a little further down the path where I'd hid from the Whistler. It was nothing like what he described. Instead of bales of hay, I was looking at a bunch of old-fashioned furniture set up on the wet grass. A polished darkwood table, high-backed chairs, and fine china that gleamed in the moonlight. Steam was coming out of a silver pot like somebody was about to have a tea party. I got the hell out of there and went back to my path. Or at least I thought I did. See, that's the thing. That's another thing about the maze. Paths change. I had been going straight when I turned the corner, but when I went back, I found 3 paths, all leading away from where I wanted to go. If the paths changed, I reckon, there was no sense trying to remember which one I'd taken. I chose one at random and kept walking. There was no sound but wind in the corn, no scent but rotten stalks, and nothing to see but 2 endless walls of green. That was another thing Abby DeMille used to say back when we kids were gathered around her porch. The green gets to you. Now I knew what she meant. I felt something beneath the sole of my foot, the sole of my boot. Something hard and sharp. Bones. Ribs, broken femurs, whole spines. There were so many of them. I couldn't be sure what sort of animal they come from. And I had a feeling I knew, but where were the heads? Black wings flapped around my head. A hard beak struck my cheek, and then my brow. I felt warm blood and knew that it was going for my eyes. I swatted at the mass of black feathers, and as it circled around for another swoop, I realized what I was looking at. A vulture, or maybe 2. I had never seen one of those hideous things up close before. Carrion birds, eaters of the dead, with heads like strips of raw meat and beady black eyes. I didn't know they grew so large, and I'd never heard of them attacking the living. Unless it figured I was dead already. I had to keep moving. I used my jacket as a makeshift whip to smack away those awful beaks. They swooped again and again, always going for the eyes, until I left a bone-covered strip of dirt behind. The calm faded, and I was left alone with my bleeding face and pounding heart. Nobody ever mentioned anything about vultures. Or bones. I thought of folks like Clayton, who walked out of the maze years later. How many trials like that had he faced, and how many more were ahead of me? When liquid courage had sent me strutting into the corn, I figured on dying. My diagnosis, it didn't scare me a bit. Being trapped in here forever, on the other hand. Maybe those bones were what were left of the lucky ones. I walked on, always turning toward the heart of the maze. Though, I had to admit, I no longer had any real idea of where that might be. The sun should have risen, but it didn't. Without it, there was no way to tell how long I'd be inside the maze. No way except for my own hunger and thirst. If I hadn't been so focused on feeling sorry for myself, I might have noticed it. The way the corn opened up on either side. By the time I realized I walked into one of the rooms, it was too late. When I turned around, I was looking at a wall of green. I had to cross the room. Nothing to be afraid of, I told myself. Just some 2 perfect grass, gourds and pumpkins, some bales of hay, and a stuffed man with a painted face. Rick Carson had talked about the painted man. That Wizard of Oz looking scarecrow with a face that looked like it had been painted on by a disturbed child. When he'd come out of the other side of the maze, Red's simple wish had been to win the lottery. He'd only had a few years to enjoy it before his wife Marla had him killed to collect on his life insurance policy. Red had a single piece of advice about the painted man. Whatever it does, ignore it. But I had already stopped to look at that freaky oversized scarecrow. When I did, the painted man's face snapped in my direction. It stood on straw-filled feet, and despite the awful sound of its creaking limbs, I ignored it. I kept my eyes on the opening of the maze, even when I felt its hay-stuffed arms extending horrifically across the grass. even when I felt its fake gloved hands grabbing at my ankles, slithering up my legs. The painted man patted and prodded me, like a blind man trying to identify something by touch. If it got to my face, if it realized that I was human, I figured I was done for. I could feel its raspy, wheezing breath on my neck. And I whistled. The farmer in the dell, the same tune as a whistler. It wasn't dead-on accurate, but it was pretty close. I couldn't see what the painted man was doing behind me, but I got a feeling that it was bowing low and backing away slowly. But I had bigger problems. Somewhere far across the maze, the whistler had heard me, and it had whistled back. Now it was rushing towards me at an insane speed. I grabbed my knees to keep myself from running and turned a corner as quick as I could. My pursuer paused and whistled nervously. That sickening sigh bobbed above the corn, and it stood still, doubting. I could tell by the pitch. It was looking for me. That wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to keep walking, but then again, maybe I'd broken the rules first by whistling. Leaves of corn tickled my back, and I knew I couldn't go back any further without being swallowed by the maze. I shut my eyes tight and something passed me by. It sounded like dragging metal and reeked of death. When I went to move again, though, I nearly fell over. I was dizzy from hunger and thirst, but did I dare to eat or drink or anything in here? The room with the painted man was behind me, at least. Even if the scummy puddles along the path were starting to make me thirsty. There was another room up ahead, dark wood furniture, a tablecloth, a teapot. No, it couldn't be, but somehow I was right back where I started. I dropped to my knees in the mud and started crying. I didn't think I'd have the strength to try a different path. I wasn't sure I'd have the strength to stand up again. I was crawling in the muck, miserable as a man could be, when I heard a noise that sounded an awful lot like tea being poured. My eyes snapped open. I looked into the room. A figure had appeared in one of the high-backed chairs. From head to toe, it was draped with an enormous black veil. With a black-gloved feminine hand, it placed one teacup in front of me and one in front of itself. Come. Its voice, a woman's voice, beckoned to me from inside my head. Dizzily, I got to my feet and ambled over to the high-backed chair across from her. There was a platter of cookies and cakes between us, lit by the bone-white glow of the moon. Eat. Drink. It is the perfect night for a moon viewing party, don't you think? I didn't say anything, but the veiled woman didn't seem to mind. My stomach growled. I blew on the steaming cup of tea and reached out for a little flower-shaped cake. I happened to look to my right, and my hand froze above the silver platter. I wasn't the only one attending this weird party. Beside me, a man sat with his spine perfectly straight, staring upward. His eyes were round as marbles, and the skin beneath his old-fashioned farmer's clothes was all as dry and hollow as corn husks, but he was still breathing. It was like he'd been mummified alive. The 13-year-old cheerleader a few chairs down the table, the Mexican teenager across from her, the soldier in the getup from the First World War on my left, they all still looked like the man. They all looked just like the man beside me. Living goddamn skeletons, wide-eyed, breathing with the skin still on. Half-drunk cups of tea and pastry crumbs moldered on silver plates in front of them. I drew my hand away from the platter of cakes. The veiled woman seemed disappointed. What is it that you want? She asked inside my head. I just want to go home. I answered honestly. Really? It was surprised in that raspy, whispering voice. That's all you want? You won't be able to change your mind again later, you know. I hadn't forgotten about the fatal diagnosis or what would come after, but I discovered that there were things worse than death. Maybe even worse than losing your mind. And they walked the shadowy paths of the Bronx corn maze. I nodded to the veiled woman. With a shrug, she waved a black-gloved hand. The rustling green stalks behind her parted. In misty field on the other side, I could just make out the outline of my truck. Drunk parked by diagonally in the dirt lot in front of the maze. The veiled woman watched me leave, but When I turned around again, there was nothing behind me but a wall of corn. When I tell folks about the maze, they usually reckon I've lost my damn full mind. Even folks who lived in town for years and know all about the Bronx Weird Cornfield don't really believe I've been inside it. After all, if I had, it's my wish. Some nights sitting on my porch and looking up at the moon, I think that was the trick all along. The only way to safely leave the corn maze was to wish for that, and nothing more. But on nights when the trees rustle strangely and the big old moon seems too bright and silvery to be real, I wonder if maybe I'm wrong about the maze. Wonder if I really left it at all. And that is the end of the last spooky story for today. Yeah, it's like Hotel California, dude. You can check out anytime you want, but you'll never leave. I hope you guys enjoyed today's delivery. Kind of like a spooky yet comfy experience. I tried my best not to jump scare too much. I didn't want, like, I just wanted to, like I just wanted to, like, tell some spooky stories, okay? Which one was your favorite? Enjoyed coffee humor. I'm glad. Mrs. Homestuck, shut up. That was a Freudian slip. That was a slip. Tampon, yeah. I think the tampon one is still the most horrifying for me. The sugar daddy one? The sugar daddy one... I think it's when they have like a really list of... They have a list of really unsettling rules. I think that's the worst one. There are a lot of ones like this. Like the haunted apartment block with like a bunch of rules that you have to follow when you live there. Cannibalism one. Let's see for a surprise Pipkin. Hey, chat. Chat, shut up. That's not what I sound like. Okay, I can't do it anymore. Pippa's back and that's scary. No. I can do an impression of most people, but Pippa's one comes really hard to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of the way she talks. It's just so animated. It's so animated and it's so American. That's just little. It's just. It just comes a little hard to me. Can you imitate Erina? I don't think. Oh, yeah, that's exciting. The Pippa's laugh was fun. Thank you. I'm glad. I hope it was
laugh was spot on BTW.
Okay. Give me a second. The windshield wipers. Yeah, she does that. That's crazy. I don't think I can do Erina. Erina's a little too deep for me. Do a Pecora. What does it sound like? Like. I don't know. Irie. please, Kami-sama! Oh, 3-star again? Lieutenant Chisaka Irie, reporting for duty. Hey, eyes up here! Her ear-splitting scream. Remy, I do Remy's all the time. It's one of my favorites too. Harbinger of the darkness, savior of the holy... Wait! I'm not done yet! Million Nephis commands you! Waga no sekai yokozo! Himemiya-sama da! It's not an Ari impression without... wait, guys! What does that mean? Leah BC? I'm Leah! Simple as that, I'm Leah. That's all there is to it, I'm Leah. You're Leah? No, I'm Leah. Remy, Leah. Iris scream, give me tonight. Yeah, her ear splitting scream is just good. What about Hime? Nah, Hime impression, that's a bit too hard for me, you know? It's a little too hard for me. The stars in the sky. Do you like them? My name's Amanagawa Shina. Wait, okay. I need to do it again. The stars in the sky. Do you like them? I don't know, I used to be better at this. I used to be better at imitating her. But I think over time, my Remy impression got much better. Do Panko. Wow, it's Panko. I cook the pasta. I cook the pizza. I cook the pasta. Wow, so cute. Can I have it? I'm Panko. Tell my beautiful. Shut the fuck up, chat! Shut the fuck up! Woman tears, nice. Oh yes. Yeah, I think I did a good one before. I think that was more Pippa. Okay, wait. Back to the basement, Green. 𝐒𝐤𝐤𝐷𝐻? Ah, motherfuckers! That's the best I can do for Tema, I think. Fishman impression? What am I even supposed to say? He just sounds like every dude ever. Like he just sounds like a dude. He just sounds like just the average Canadian dude. Can't believe face. Yeah, I'm just all face connect in. Yeah, he's just hey. Hey. And then you can hear his push to talk button every single time. So it's like, wait, like, hey. Did you finish that art yet? I know the deadline's coming, right? I was saying, it's Fujikura Uruka, that's Urufu to you. Yeah. I wonder if I could do an Uruka impression. So like you guys know that yo, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐷. I'm totally 𝐃𝐨𝐸𝐷. It's so hard. Her voice is really unique. Yours as well. I don't know if I could imitate. I can't do yours. I don't think I can do yours. Yours voice is very, very unique. Yeah, the Larry voice. No, I can't. She has this like rasp, like this husky tone to the voice. It's kind of like Uruka's, but it's high pitched, which is even harder to imitate. Yuri, I think Yuri I can do relatively easy. She just sounds like this all the time. Like normally she just sounds like this and then she goes Yes, that's Yuri. Yeah, Yuri's here. Yuri's right here with me, guys. You guys are all my prisoners now, you know that, right? You love me, right? You love me. You love me. You love me. Do a movie impression? Okay, I just gotta sound like I'm like severely depressed. like This is just what Mumi sounds like every meeting. Didn't know me and you. Yeah, I'm actually over there. I'm with them right now. I'm with everyone in the Alcalab. With Lumi, you just gotta sound a little airy. You have to sound like there's absolutely nothing in your brain, but at the same time, you're really, really smart. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it that well, but this is just what my impression is of her. Oh yeah, and you have to channel your Stacy energy. She's just pure Stacy. Just gotta pure Stacy. Yeah, okay. I think that's that's as much as I can do. The other ones are too unique. I think NASA's voice is very soft and high pitched. So it's like, but at the same time she has like a really like calming tone to her voice. That's kind ofね. こういう感じ? こんな感じかな? こんな感じかな? これは NASA の声かね? Red English NASA. NASA English. And then Michiru's voice is like, it's like the tone is more squeaky than husky, but at the same time, it's like very soft-spoken. Yeah. Michiru's is like, I don't know how I can do this. There's something very, yeah, it's very nasally as well. なんかミチルの声はちょっとGuys, give me something to say. I don't know what I can say. インドはキラキラ金曜日 Dream Potion. Yes! Dream Potion. Dream Potion. Dream Potion. Memories by Oshi. Yeah, I'm actually every single person in Face Connect all at once. Except for maybe Erina. I don't think I can do Erina. What's the matter? What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Erina Machina. I'm like the Ditto. I'm more like a Mimikyu. I'm like a Mimikyu. Can I do impressions of Hololive? I don't know. I think that I'm gonna need to listen to them a bit more first to like get their nuances, because I can't really remember it from memory. Like I can't do it on memory. But if I listen to them and then I like practice a bit to it, I'll try. I'll try it. But we'll save that for next time. I'll save that for next time. Now it's getting kind of late for some of you, so I wonder if anyone's streaming. How about any of my sisters? I can't really discern any like particular notes from them, but I will try. I will try next time. Oh, hey guys. Speaking of other members, Tenma's, I think Tenma's papa, Tenma's mama is streaming. Kapuri-san. So, since I'm the only person streaming at this time, I might as well send you guys over to Kapuri-san's. So, okay, guys, behave, okay? This is Tenma's mama, and mama's very cute. It's playing Splatoon 3. Tenma's mom, yeah. Mama kitsune. So, Kapuri doesn't like me. Okay, oh shit. God damn it, I'm already fucking up. Okay, guys, this is a JP streamer, don't really speak English. So just go over to support, okay? And try your best to just support Kapuri-san, okay? Kapuri-san. Yeah. Behave. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming to today's stream. It was surprisingly really nice. I like reading stories for y'all. maybe I should read some more like bedtime stories or like fantasy stories in this kind of format. Thank you, man. I'm gonna go get some dinner now. Take a day. Bye bye. Bye bye.